It's a harsh reality of parenting that your kids are definitely keeping secrets from you. I know that may be hard to hear. After all, we all want our kids to come and confide in us. And the fact is that they also make the parent feel that they're doing something wrong if they don't come to us. When they're little, they may hide things like candy or something they've broken because they don't want to deal with the consequences of their actions. Or they may not tell you about something that happened in school, like an argument with another child. My friend's 8-year-old son has always had a habit of collecting anything and everything he finds on the streets. Along with pretty rocks, his mum has also found rusty nails and even someone else's lip gloss that he's picked up and squirreled away out of sight. He's like a magpie, and he knows that his mum doesn't want him taking stuff like that because it's actually either disgusting or dangerous, so he hides it from her instead. But as they get older, kids tend to hide bigger things from their parents. This is mostly a part of growing up. However, once they start to get punishments from us in response to things that they've kept secret, then they will start to be worried about sharing other secrets with us. As time goes on and this compounds in their heads, they'll stop trusting us and they'll stop coming to us. Either out of fear of our response, embarrassment, or because they don't trust that we'll keep that information to ourselves and we'll tell our friends and family about it. That kind of thing completely destroys your child's trust in you, and you can bet that they won't come to you in the future. And that can be a problem because there are times when our kids need us, so trying to be non-judgmental, not overly harsh with punishments, and being open to talking to them is vital from an early age. When they become young adults, they develop their own sense of identity and their own autonomy and distance themselves from their family in preparation for becoming an adult. So we can all expect that our kids are keeping things like their journals, diaries from us, and they should be allowed to have a certain amount of privacy. After all, when we were kids, we wanted the same privacy too. But there are definitely things that teenagers hide from their parents that we should be aware of. When your kids are putting themselves in harm's way, then we need to watch out for those red flags and act on them. Not doing so can have devastating consequences. So let's go through some of the more worrying things that kids hide from their parents, what to watch out for and what to do about it. Kids hate to disappoint their parents, whether that's through getting bad grades, not finishing homework on time, or not studying for tests, or even cheating. But that doesn't stop them from actually doing those things. Don't wait around for parents' evening to find out how your kid's doing in school. By then it may be too late. Making sure that they know that they can come to you for support with their education will hopefully stop them from feeling like they have to hide this from you. If you constantly make them feel like they have to perform well and put added pressure on them, then this can have the opposite effect on what you're trying to achieve. Check in with them, ask them how school is, and don't just take one-word answers. Have a conversation about it and share your own struggles with school and how you overcome them. It helps them to know that they're not alone and that you understand. All parents want their kids to hang out with others who they consider to be a good influence, but kids choose their own friends, and often they can lead them to hanging out with people we don't want them to. This also applies to boyfriend or girlfriends. So, laying down the law forbidding them from being allowed to hang out together is probably going to push them closer rather than pull them apart. You can of course tell them why you're not happy about it, but ultimately you have to try and trust your child to make their decision for themselves. That's super hard to do because you've always been able to choose for them in the past, but they're not little kids and you don't get to set up play dates for them anymore. Unfortunately, bullying has always been around and will forever be around. That doesn't mean we just accept it as part of life and allow it to happen though. Bullying takes various forms. It can be physical, like being hit or kicked. It can be verbal, like being called names or teasing. It can be emotional, like being excluded or threatened. It can be sexual, racist or homophobic. And of course, now it can be cyberbullying, which can be in nearly all of the above forms. So, what are some bullying red flags to watch out for? Well, one thing kids may do is start making excuses or illnesses to get out of school or school activities. They may also try to get out of walking or taking the bus to and from school. You may notice that they have a lack of interest in things like spending time with the family and friends that they usually hang out with, or they seem to have changed friends recently. Of course, many kids will try to hide these things, so if your child suddenly starts heading straight for their room when they come home and they seem down, moody or anxious and worried, then try to talk them to figure things out. We have a whole video specifically about bullying and how to help your kids deal with it. I'll post a link down in the description so you can go and check that out. However, you can help protect your child from cyberbullying by setting up the Wondershare FamiSafe app on their phone and monitoring the specific keywords. This doesn't give you access to their private messages. It still allows your child plenty of privacy, but if certain words are used, then it will red flag them and it will let you know so you can have a conversation with them about it. And if necessary, take things further with the school or even the police. Harassment is no joke, whether it's online or in real life. Stress can be a daily part of our lives. Kids will often hide the stress that they feel from their parents, maybe because they don't want to worry us or because they may feel embarrassed about something. But how can we know that it's not just everyday stress and it's actually indicative of mental health problems? The most common one to look out for is depression, anxiety, and social phobias like social anxiety. Kids may start to show a lack of interest in things they normally enjoy. They may suffer from sleep and appetite problems. Talking negatively about themselves, acting extremely self-conscious, and trying to avoid social situations are also red flags for mental health problems. Some of the rarer problems will most definitely be hidden from you, like eating disorders, self-harming, and suicidal thoughts. Some of these can be difficult to see as a parent because we may attribute it to just being a teenager. It's true that teens are going through big changes in their bodies and their lives, but be on the lookout for more extreme mood swings and make sure you talk to your kids about it openly so that they know that no matter what, you will be there for them to talk through any issues. I've covered this very topic about helping your child with their mental health, and again, I'll pop a link in the description for you to take a look. You may see that your child is blossoming into an adult before your very eyes. With that blossoming comes a new life, probably full of teen romance. This is an important time for a teenager's development, so don't get carried away in trying to forbid them from dating or trying to stop them completely. Education is better prevention of teenage pregnancy if that's what you're worried about. It's very likely that your child will explore physical intimacy and their sexual feelings with others, and they may not want to share that information with you. And that's okay. As long as you keep your discussion about relationships open, honest, and non-judgmental, then you may find that your teenager will eventually let you in and maybe even bring home their girlfriends or boyfriends to meet you. Your teen may well engage in sexting with other people. That may be on TikTok, Instagram, or any of the many social media apps out there besides Tinder that your teen can get access to. They will hide this from you. They will delete messages and photos and put passwords on apps that they don't want you to access. Kids today are probably more tech savvy than you are, so have a chat with them about the fact that sending explicit messages, especially photos or videos, is not a good idea. Once it's sent, then there is no taking it back, and then it's completely out of their control. This is probably number one of the list of things that your teen will hide from you, and it's no longer being hidden under the mattress. Technology has given us so many positives, but it also gives us some negatives, and that freely accessible porn. Accessible by anybody too. There are many websites out there that your teen or even pre-teen is likely to find them. Don't just think this is relegated to boys either, as girls accessing porn is on the rise, and it's all being accessed on their little devices that every kid is nagging for, their phone. So again, you can have a chat about it with your kids, but they may not stop them from going through or looking for it. So I suggest putting on an explicit content filter on their phones to limit access. This will also limit their ability to send or receive explicit photos or videos of themselves or their friends. And at the end of the day, we can give our kids a lot of freedom, but we still have a duty to protect them too. My friend once told me that when she was a teenager, she would tell her mother that she was going to the cinema, but really she was sneaking out to go to the local pub with a fake ID because she was underage. She would even dress in different clothes and get changed before going there. Her mother never even knew until she admitted it to her many years later. It's no surprise that kids are still doing this, pretending to go to a friend's house to study when they're actually going to a party somewhere else. You know the kind of thing. I bet you even did it when you were a teenager. These days, of course, we have location trackers on our kids' phones, so they can't trick you, parents, anymore. One thing that the phones can't track though is whether your kid, tween or teen is actually trying things out that you really wish they weren't. I'm talking about things like alcohol, cigarettes, or increasingly now vaping and drugs. Maybe that's an idea for an app, a breathalyzer for teens, that they'd never be able to hide it from you. All jokes aside though, teens will definitely try to hide it from you. But experimenting with drugs can be extremely dangerous, and although many of us may have tried alcohol as teenagers ourselves, teaching your teen to do so responsibly is key to keeping them safe. Educating them on the risk of drug taking and alcohol consumption should be high on your list, as well as modelling appropriate alcohol use yourself. Okay, so your teen can become addicted to substances like cigarettes, alcohol and drugs, but increasingly kids are becoming more addicted to things like gambling, the internet and social media and gaming. All of these play into the brain's need for a dopamine hit, And if your teenager is struggling with their mental health, then they're more likely to engage in addictive behaviour, as this will stop them from dealing with their negative emotions. Like a crutch in a way, this can start early on if you don't monitor what your kids are doing and crucially how long they've been spending online. You can easily help them out by putting on a screen time limit on their phone, which will stop them from developing any addiction to online content. Although the path to adulthood is a fairly short one, it can seem very long, arduous and strewn with many hazards along its path. As long as you can show your kid that you love them unconditionally and that you'll always be there to guide and support them on their journey into adulthood, then they should come out the other end reasonably unscathed and ready to face the world. I think that maintaining open, honest lines of communication is the key to looking after your kids. So when you install the FamiSafe app on their phone, don't do it as a punishment which will cause them to resent it. Instead, talk to them about the reasons you're doing it to keep them safe. Let them know that the app doesn't intrude into their privacy, that they can still have private conversations with their friends, but this is a way of helping them through the tweens and teen years. If your child doesn't have a phone yet, then make sure you put it on there from the very beginning, because then there'll be no argument about it at all. It'll just be a normal part of their online experience. I hope you and your families keep safe out there in this crazy parenting world that we're living in. Drop a comment below to let me know what your kids have hidden from you that they really shouldn't have. And remember to click that like and subscribe to the channel for more great parenting content. Bye.